ultimately decided to go back towards what I'd done my internship in, and I ended up going back into publishing. I was in publishing for 9 years, doing publishing operations, and I decided after about 9 years that I wanted to get a bigger sense of the business world. I knew my piece. I knew that I was in operations. I understood how the magazines got out, and I understood my role and the importance that it played, but what I didn't understand was the larger business of the company. How did that work? How did everybody else's pieces work? So I wanted to learn more about that, and I decided that business school was probably a great place to start. I took a lot of flack for coming back to Babson to get my MBA because people made fun of me for only going 2 miles away from where I got my undergrad. I did live in New York in between, so I did manage to get out of Wellesley for a few years. But I came back to Babson, mostly I came back to Babson for a couple of reasons, one of which was the program, and the structure of the program was just amazing, and I really gravitated towards it because of the faculty and the fact that so many of the faculty had real life experience that they were bringing into the classroom, and then the focus on entrepreneurship. I was fortunate enough through networking, as you guys were talking about earlier, some friends of my parents knew some people that worked at Babson. When I was looking at all the different schools I was trying to decide, I talked to all these different people that knew people at the schools. One of the people that I talked to happened to know other people at Babson, and they were talking about this scholarship, the Forté scholarship. And so through all of these different conversations, all of that came to light. Ultimately, I was fortunate enough to get that scholarship and come back to Babson. So very quickly, just to wrap up, because I know I'm rattling on, getting my MBA at Babson was probably the best thing that I ever did for myself, both personally and professionally. I've gotten to do a lot of things in my career that I wouldn't have been able to do had I not come back and gotten my MBA here. The international requirement of the MBA program, I don't know how much folks know about that. You either have to do an internship internationally or you have to go abroad for a semester. Doing the internship internationally allowed me to build a relationship with a company in England who ultimately hired me. I got to go work in England, and when that company was bought by a German company, I got to go work in Germany, doing the integration for all the HR processes and systems, which was kind of fun. It was about a 300,000 person company, about a 100,000 person company, and I was the American who moved to Germany to negotiate between the English and the Germans. So it was very entertaining at times and very stressful. And then when I came back here, I started working at Liberty Mutual, where I now work in recruitment marketing and branding, and actually listening to these guys that were up here talking. A lot of what they're talking about, they're the folks that I support in my role now. So I work on the ATS that they mentioned in the back end. I work on all the brochures and things that you guys see when you go to recruiting events, the careers website, social media, all of those things. So a lot of what they were saying up here definitely resonates. It's definitely stuff that we are exploring as a company where I work now. And I think I've said enough.
Well, my name is Melissa Tansey, and I graduated not from Wellesley, but from Bowdoin in 2002. So I also have a liberal arts degree, and I was an English and Spanish major, where I went on then to work for Mellon Financial in Boston before Bank of New York Mellon. And I had the opportunity to work in corporate affairs and community relations, and I will tell you the first thing that's important to know is that I have never been too good to do anything, and we've talked about that tonight. I first interned with Mellon. I was a contractor with Mellon for 1.5 years until I finally were able to create the position that I ultimately took. And really, I just think it was a great opportunity really to get your hands dirty and do everything and anything. And it was a large company, so that was a great opportunity for me. And then I echo Kelly's experience of I wanted to go back and learn more about the business so that I could be even more effective in my role at a financial services company. So I joined Babson in the 2-year program and also had the opportunity to be a Forté scholar, which was wonderful. And then I went and joined Fidelity here in Boston, or I should say really across the country. I was in a rotational management training program for 2.5 years, and I worked in HR, in recruiting. I will tell you, befriend your recruiter as much as befriend the admin, because the recruiter's going to pitch for you. So you want to be friends with that recruiter. I worked in finance for the retail business, in Smithfield, Rhode Island. I went and worked in Albuquerque, New Mexico in the phones organization and supported clients such as General Motors. And then I came back to work in Boston in marketing in the institutional business, and I've now joined the brand and advertising team. So if you are familiar with the green line of Fidelity, that's what I work on now. So a couple other things I would say quickly too is that you all have this wonderful opportunity now to be part of the Ad Club. I recently attended the Women's Leadership Forum, which was incredible, and you should check out their website where you can see some clips from the day and get to be part of something that's already happened, but still experience that. Jan mentioned the Forté Foundation, their work that they have as well, and while we don't encourage you to live off of the job boards, Forté does have the corporate members do post jobs specifically to the Forté job board, so it's a great way to get something a little bit different that maybe some of your other classmates might not be looking at. So definitely take a look there. And I'm really happy to answer any questions tonight, so we will finish up here.
Sure. Hi everybody, I'm Deepali Kamat. I'm originally from India. I got my undergrad there in information technology engineering and then went to work for Infosys, which is one of the biggest software services providers in India. While working at Infosys, I had a chance to come to the US and work at a client location, and that's how I started understanding a lot more about business, coming from a core technology background. I also sort of started getting a sense of sustainability and sustainable business, which was a relatively new term which I hadn't heard of before, and that intrigued me a lot. That got me to sort of come to Babson. I knew that they had a lot of interesting courses to offer in sustainability. And also, I think at the back of my mind, and like most panelists have mentioned today, I wanted to get a better sense of what business is all about, because I was really specific to only the technology side of things. I came to Babson, sort of furthered my interest in sustainability, and really my experience at Babson helped me transition into it. I've had quite a non-traditional sort of post-Babson career. I started off on an internship. I think Jen and I think even Kathy, both of you mentioned about internships. It's definitely the way to go, especially when you're transitioning. Sometimes it's really hard to get a full-time position given the fact that you have relatively less experience in a new area. So I did that. I started off by interning with Bayer, which had a change management position, which wasn't even specifically related to sustainability. But I figured that that was one of the transitional skills that I could use because you definitely need to work a lot around change management when you get into corporate sustainability. And so I was able to successfully transition, and now currently I'm working at Staples as a sustainability consultant. And what I basically do, just so that you guys have a better sense, is support them on a lot of environmental initiatives. So I think the idea is not just to look at business from a financial perspective, but also to look at how you can make a better environmental and social impact through your daily business operations. And that's what I do at Staples. I'm really excited about this specific area, corporate sustainability. For those of you who haven't explored it, I encourage you to look into it. It's definitely an emerging area, and I'd be happy to answer any questions around it.
Is it over?
Yes,
Absolutely. I guess it might be hard for you guys to answer this, but coming from someone with a business background who's kind of toying between the idea of CFA or back for MBA, do you see more value add going for the MBA after having a business background already, or just going for the specialist kind of, financial charter?
I think that in terms of, it kind of depends on what you want to do with it, and that each type of graduate degree or assisted, the charter for the CFA is where you want to use it, how you want to use it, and when. I had a question earlier about whether it's good to do it right away or to get some work experience, and I worked in graduate admissions while I was here too. I mean, I definitely support getting some work experience under your belt. The thing that's nice about the CFA is that you can take the different levels as you're going along, and you're not necessarily doing that while you're going to school or different things like that. And they definitely are complementary to each other. So I just think it just kind of depends on how you want to use it.
I would recommend, based on what the panelists before us said, they talked a lot about LinkedIn and how valuable it was in terms of a resource in searching. It's also one of your most valuable resources in terms of a career path. So instead of asking, 5 people, what would be your opinion, you can actually go on LinkedIn, you can search the title of the job that you think you would want to be in and look at the qualifications of the people in that role. And you can see, all these people, I want to be a director of finance, all these people tend to have the CFA or they tend to have the MBA. And you can do that kind of research because the search engine's pretty powerful on LinkedIn. The other thing that you can do is if you find a couple that are interesting and look like interesting career paths, LinkedIn does allow you, I think, a certain amount free, but I also think you have to pay for additional, like in-mails, they call them. You can reach out to that person and just say to them, I'm just doing research and trying to understand and make this decision. I got an email like that from someone completely out of the blue asking me a very similar question. Would you recommend I get my MBA now or wait? And I took a couple minutes, wrote them back, and I would say definitely LinkedIn is an awesome resource for you guys in terms of trying to decide career paths where you want to go, as well as building your network.
I think it's key, though, Kelle said about introducing yourself and why you want to do it. I think a lot of times especially I'll be honest, from Babson or places, I get people that just send me LinkedIn requests and I'm like, I have no idea who you are. So I'm not really interested in connecting with you unless I know a little bit more about you, because you're also, it's just, like Facebook or whatever, who you associate with, there's a reason why you associate with them. So I'm not looking just to accept people into my LinkedIn network just randomly just because we went to school together. I mean, yes, that's going to help you a little bit, but give me some information about you. Tell me why you want to.
Right, and I think just going back to the question in terms of, I have limited knowledge about CFA, but just to tell you a little bit about the MBA program, and I'm sure these guys will vouch for it. I think the best part of the MBA program is the kind of interaction that you have with your classmates. And that's the sort of biggest networking group to start off with, because you have people coming from such diverse backgrounds. Babson has a huge international audience, and you just get such a better perspective of business and of life sometimes, because people are on various levels of their careers as well. So I feel like that for me has been a huge sort of life-changing experience in itself, where you get a chance to talk to all these people and see, there's always something new to learn.
Thank you.
Hi, Andrea Wood, two-year MBA, graduating this May, also a Forté Fellow, and I'm wondering, just if you could share with the room, since we're talking about networking groups, outside of Babson, have you leveraged the Forté Women's Network, and if so, how?
Both the years I attended the Forté Women's Leadership Conference, which was, I think, a tremendous place, not just because they focus not just on very specific career-related, workshops, but they also have personality development workshops, which I found very useful. It was sort of fresh to the years after having gone through a lot of career-focused and resume-focused workshops. In terms of, I think, following up, it's up to you. Once you've met these tremendous women at the conferences, how you could follow up. I sort of assigned a few folks whom I thought could be my mentors, and then I would meet them besides these specific sessions and sort of get a lot of information. You could have phone conversations with them if they're open to it. So I feel like once you make these contacts, it's sort of up to you how you want to follow up.
I think I've used it more in terms of Becky's asked me to be part of a number of events with Forté, and I really enjoy doing them. And I think that it's because also I'm able to meet people in a more intimate setting, I guess, and to be able to follow up with people then. So I wouldn't say that I've used it so much in terms of a lot of the things that happen through LinkedIn, or there's different conversations that are going, but I also attended the conference while I was a student and kind of just picked up here and there. There are so many different opportunities to network with people. It's kind of what works for you and what you have capability to follow up on, because it is being able to follow up that's important.
I would say for me, when I was a student, I unfortunately couldn't attend the conference because I was overseas both times that I wanted to attend it, which was really actually very disappointing for me. And one of the things I found out this year is that the company that I work for now is actually has a partnership that they just started this year with Forté. So not only do I get to go to all the events now, but they actually want me to go. So they actually are saying go and do this and represent the company and network with the folks at Forté. So I'm actually really excited to be able to do that because up until now, it's really been only through my Babson association that I've been working on things to do with Forté.
What other questions do you have for us?
So, I guess this is more of a personal preference, but what made you choose Babson's MBA program? I know some people mentioned that it had like an international aspect compared to like, the other bigger university MBA programs.
I think it was the size for me. I mean, I definitely was looking at large schools, small schools, and when I came to Babson, I met interesting people who were interested in me and interested in telling about themselves and sharing. I mean, I think that we've all kind of touched on that a bit. I definitely was interested in the Women's Center for Women's Leadership and the other organizations that kind of come off of that. I was co-president of the Babson Association of Women MBAs while I was here too, and I think that it allowed me to build my network in a different way outside of the classroom. And I only went to Babson, so I can't really speak about other schools, but I got the sense for me that larger schools I could get lost in the classroom and in the community, the overall community, and I was able to establish a broad foundation while I was here. But it's also that general curriculum, which was what I was really looking for too, in the teaching style.
I think one of the crucial points for me was its focus on entrepreneurship. I think the way you go through a course from an entrepreneurial sort of mindset is way more different. You're taught to sort of go out there, take calculated risks, which is, I think, a trait in itself, and you start thinking outside the box. I love the fact that we could do a lot of projects, and I benefited a lot out of it. We did a lot of McPhees, which is, I forget the full form, but basically a field experience where you can, have team-based projects with companies while you're still in school, which is a huge thing because, the job that I now have at Staples was because one of the McPhees that I did while I was at Babson. So I had a chance to actually do this project through school, and they knew my passion and they knew my interests already. So when the position was out there, it was way more easier to sort of present myself. So I think there are, based on my research, I felt like it had quite a non-traditional format of teaching, and its focus on entrepreneurship. I think those were the sort of core reasons why I chose Babson.
And I was the one who said the thing about international was a huge thing for me. The other thing that I found really helpful is when I made the decision about going to business school, I also kind of had an idea in my head about where I wanted to be geographically. So I knew that I wanted to come back to this region. And there's a couple business schools in the Boston area. You may have heard of some of them. So I looked at them. What I also did was I connected with all of my friends from Wellesley, from undergrad, because a lot of them had gone to business school or knew people, and I connected with people that were at other schools, and I asked them, what's the environment like there? What's the social environment like? What's the networking environment like? What's the classroom like? And I went and sat in on classes at some of them. That really helped me make the decision, because when I came and sat in the classes at Babson, I felt like I was sitting in a class that I could be participating in right then. And that the personalities and the ideas and the focus on entrepreneurship, the focus on sustainability, there's just a huge focus on the entrepreneurship in terms of everything that you do here was a really good fit for me. But I found talking to people and getting to understand the culture of the schools made a big difference.
Just jumping in as I can't resist, as another Wellesley undergrad, Babson MBA, and echoing a lot of what you're saying. If the culture of Wellesley as an institution, for those of you who are from Wellesley, is really important to you, if it's something that feels really good, this, for me, has been a really nice correlation. The Babson culture, the Babson environment, for that sense of I'm in the classroom, I can see everyone else, I can hear everyone else's perspectives, I feel like I can speak up, I feel like my voice is heard, the Center for Women's Leadership, the focus on promoting women. There are a lot of different business schools. It depends on what's the most important thing to you. But in terms of culture, this is a really, really supportive place to thrive, much as Wellesley is for the undergrad.
And similarly, also just to build on that additionally, the faculty connection that you get at Wellesley, you get that at Babson.
Yes.
So that's one of the greatest, I think, assets as an undergrad at Wellesley that I appreciated was the accessibility of the faculty and that they viewed me as a person and they helped me through those 4 years in figuring out my direction, where I wanted to go and who I wanted to be and what my interests were. The faculty at Babson during the MBA, I felt the exact same way. They were vested in, what direction was my career going to take? How could they help me to understand that? How could they connect me with their networks? I mean, ultimately, I got my internship as a direct result of my relationship with one of the faculty here, and that then ultimately resulted in my full-time job and so on and so on. So the faculty here really are a great asset as well.
I would also say that there are multiple programs that you've worked to find the right one that fits your life at that time and what you're doing. So whether it's a part-time program and you're fortunate enough to work for a company that's going to help fund it, or if you're funding it yourself, there's a one-year program. So if you are a Babson undergrad now, you can go in and do the one-year program, the accelerated one-year program afterwards. There's the fast track that, there's all these different programs that definitely work to meet your needs, and it truly is about what fits your life and at that time. But what other, do you guys have questions about, we definitely have looked for jobs recently. We've been part of this. As I said, I've never been too good for anything. I think that's what's important.
So I guess I'm wondering, because I'm debating whether or not we're getting an MBA because I'm interested in it, but also, I guess for opportunities of getting a job that would potentially help pay for an MBA. Mm-hmm. I guess, did any of you look at that or know of anyone who did that successfully?
Can I jump in real quick?
Yes.
I want them to answer. But Jill, you do know this is not a decision you can make for 5 more years.
It's something good to be aware of.
Don't get too far out there yet.
Yeah.
Be where you are,
Yeah.
but I want them to answer the question.
I definitely wasn't. When I was graduating from college, I was not thinking about going to business school at that point. So I just wanted a job that I was going to like, and I was going to learn a lot and be able to have fun and, just get some work experience. Yeah, I pay my loans every month, so I'm still paying for them. It'd be nice if I was in a job beforehand that I left and had all this money in the bank and it paid for, but that's not the way it worked. But I would say that it's paid off now. What do you guys think?
I feel like if you stick to your passion, it's important to know what your passion is. And again, it shouldn't be too hard on yourself, because I was at a phase when I was figuring out what my passion was. And it's quite possible, you think you're passionate about something and then you end up doing it and you realize, well, maybe not.
Yeah.
Because you thought what it was is very different to what it really is in reality. So I would say, but the only way to approach it is to say, okay, let me focus on this particular area which I think I'm interested in, and I'm going to go way out and see whatever I can achieve. If this specific job is going to help me understand my passion better, then maybe that's the way to go and try it on and then get good experience. If you think that you need to study more about it, then maybe school is the way. And of course, I feel like it's not just about education. Like I mentioned before, MBA is a way of networking with a huge group of people, which is your class, which is extremely crucial. You get to hear a lot about their backgrounds and maybe learn more about this particular area of interest. So I think it's important to stay focused and pick up that one focus at least for the moment, and then sort of go after it in whatever way works best.
I couldn't recommend highly enough getting some work experience beforehand. And I guess I was on the longer end of that because I was out for 9 years. So I was actually at the upper edge of the age group of my cohort when we came in, and they love to give me a hard time about that as often as possible. But I think that you get so much more out of the program if you have a few years in, because you're not just reading you're reading the case studies, and they're not just theoretical. It's almost if you read a book and you're reading it like a work of fiction, and you're reading it and there's something in the book and you're like, oh, something like that happens to me, you feel that much more connected to what you're reading. Getting an MBA, same type of thing. If you have some experience, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, you have something that you can relate to. And it also helps you because one of the great things about getting an MBA is that you're, through the nature of the classroom and what you're learning, you're exposed to all these jobs you didn't even know existed. I mean, you don't even know people do these jobs. And so you're learning about all of that. When you have your own frame of reference from your own work experience, you can start to see, okay, well, I did this and I liked it. That job over there uses these skills. Maybe I can make that work. So it really, having the work experience, I think, really helps. And especially when you're looking at, you get into the management classes, when you're looking at how to deal with people, how to communicate, how to network, all of those things. Having been in those situations in the workplace brings a lot more to your studies. That's just me.
Great, thank you very much.